8.25 seconds. That's the average attention span of an adult internet user. By the time I'm done saying this sentence, you may have already started thinking about a task that you should be working on, what's for dinner tonight, or a catchy song about finding a man in finance. Much has been made about the shortening of our attention span. Similar research found that in 2000, the average internet user's attention span was about 12 seconds. So now we're currently clocking in at less than a goldfish. What I want to do in this episode is help address that by recapping where we've been over the past few months and why today's episode is so critical for the future of learning that we're going to be doing together. Since January, we've been unpacking different parts of the nonprofit sector by interrogating and questioning core data relating to the work that you as a nonprofit leader are doing every single day. And in that episode, we drilled into the struggles of turnover that our sector is facing and the importance of education in overcoming those obstacles. In February's episode, we addressed the reality that only 2 out of 10 of your donors are likely not going to give a second year in a row. We built on that foundation in March's episode, where we picked apart why the typical nonprofit is having 3 to 5 different data sources to manage the generosity experience. And that's connected to those poor donor retention numbers. Following that up, in April's episode of Generosity Experience Live, we talked with Eric Ressler, and he spoke about the attention economy and how we can design forward-thinking programs like recurring giving, which Neon One's research found that can have a 78% retention rate and can keep people engaged for nearly a decade with a nonprofit. And in last month's episode, I highlighted the peak end rule, where people remember the high or low of an experience and how it ended. So let's put all this together and help us address how we tackle the obstacles we're all facing and rebuild the trust that the nonprofit sector deserves. We know that people have limited windows of time to pay attention to your cause. And those same folks will only likely remember a few key interactions with your organization. And the nonprofits in our sector are increasingly facing difficult decisions on where to invest limited time, resources, and money into technology. So what is the answer? Listening to your community. Before I continue, I'd love to hear from you first. What are some of the ways that you have built in listening for your supporters? Please jump in the comments. We're going to start to pay attention to this. This also helps line up with our giveaways. So if you can type into the chat and share a short example, that would be great. Don't forget that we do our giveaways based on that live participation. Let's see those comments. So.
Well, Tim, we're waiting for those comments.
I know. I'm speaking to us from, speaking of community, I'm actually in a community center in my local community.
That is so cool. Where exactly are you, Tim?
So the Connect Center is in Cohoes, New York. And Ben Williams, who actually worked with Jean Marie, who on our implementation team when he was onboarding in the Neon, we just did a whole presentation workshop on recurring giving. So timing wise, I was like, I'm going to do the show from here.
So we are keeping an eye on those comments. Just a reminder, at the end of the show, guys, I'm going to bring up the wheel.
Oh, come on. This is the wheel. We need to put some names on there.
So we are asking now, what are some ways that you have built in ways to listen to your supporters? Mm-hmm. And when you answer that question, we are going to put your comments up on the screen. Tim will be able to do that as the rest of the monologue goes on. And I will add your names to this wheel, which we will spin at the end of the show. So, Tim, I'll let you get back to the monologue, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes.
And we're going to be doing this throughout the entire episode. So we just kind of want to give people an opportunity to settle in. But, you know, overall, when we start to look at this, in my opinion, everything that a nonprofit should be doing when designing the generosity experience for its community ultimately comes down to its relevancy. And so many nonprofits are designing generosity experiences that are not only irrelevant to the communities that they're looking to appeal to, but in fact may be hurting the nonprofit sector as a whole. And this is a very important point because the generosity experience is not the donor's journey. Think of it instead as the zone of trust and connection that you are trying to build with your technology, your strategy, the tactics when reaching out to folks that you hope support your work. As my coworker Alex has put it, it's an aurora boreas of trust and connection. And there's actually ample research to show that listening to folks is an effective way to build that trust and communication. Yet, when I've asked in different workshops whether nonprofits are creating feedback loops in their processes by deploying something like a tactical survey to their donors, event participants, and other members of their community of generosity, I tend to get a lukewarm response. Even today, I only had a handful of folks that said, well, we survey our donors. And I think that surveys are a fantastic tool in any nonprofit's toolkit. And that's why we're going to spend some time on that this month. By building in ways to collect information about folks, you begin to build relevancy in your communications. It isn't enough to just put somebody's name in a merge field. Nonprofits need to design generosity experiences that ultimately build trust, connection, and excitement for the cause. Designing surveys comes with risks, though. So being able to know when and where and how to best utilize them is an art and science in of itself. That's a skill that every nonprofit leader should know how to do and interpret the data to put it into action. And this skill is actually becoming vitally important if more and more folks have interactions with the nonprofit sector that are prioritizing money over human connection, affluence over affinity, and quick returns on investment versus relevancy and retention, we're likely not going to have a sector to support in 50 years. And I don't want to sound alarmist here, but I've been listening to all of you. And what I'm hearing is that we need to change things up. That's why surveys are an easy and an exciting investment for any nonprofit. It gives you a powerful and immediately actionable data set to build that relevancy if you do it right. No matter the size of your nonprofit, you can collect feedback that we use to inform your processes. There's a delicate balance between people's opinions and their actions, which is why I'm thrilled about both guests in today's episode. Both Jean-Marie Trick and Justin McCord have expertise in reading the tea leaves, so to speak, of data in creating feedback loops and applying this to successful revenue program design. So I can't wait to get into it. But first, let's hear again about this month's giveaway, and let's see some comments for today.
Thanks for watching Neon One on YouTube. Subscribe to keep up with all our upcoming videos, and check out another video right here.